Intel locations for Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. There are 5 intel on this first level called Black Tuesday. There are 46 total intel throughout the whole game. It can be picked up on any difficulty, so if you're going strictly for intel, just play on easy. And you get 55 total achievement points for getting them all throughout the game. The first one is very early on, right past that helicopter crash in one of the apartments on the right. We'll find the first intel of the game. Second intel, after you go into this, what looks to be like a jewelry store, go underneath the stairs and there will be the second intel. Third intel, as you enter the New York Stock Exchange building, right where all these ammo crates are, along the left wall, is the third intel on this level. Intel, once you pick it up, it's gone. So you won't accidentally be picking up the same intel multiple times. Fourth intel on Black Tuesday, on the New York Stock Exchange floor, where all these huge computer monitors are. Go to the back of the room towards where the objective is, and in this last little kiosk is the fourth intel. And the final and fifth intel on this level, right before you destroy the communications tower, at the very end of this level, before you walk up that last set of stairs, right here on the bench by some other enemy equipment, is the fifth intel. There are 2 intel on the level Hunter Killer. Again, you can pick them up on any difficulty. They're both very early on in the level. As soon as you get into the submarine at the very start, to the right by those bunks is the first intel. Second one, from where that last intel was, you can just follow the path exactly. You go into this room, and I killed all the enemies, so the enemies aren't in the same position that they normally are. This room is normally filled with a whole bunch of enemies that have machine guns with the little red lasers on them. It's a very distinctive room. Anyway, walk up these stairs, turn completely around, go back towards directly above the door that you used to enter this room, and that is the second intel. Persona Non Grata, 4 intel on this level. First intel, as soon as you walk out into this courtyard at the very beginning, just run over here to the right, and in this little nook is the first intel on a crate. Second intel from that exact same spot. Just run forward, go out on the main street. And I normally clear all the enemies before I record. There will be a lot of enemies in this area, including a couple in this house. Go into this house on the right, on the corner, and in this bedroom is the second intel. The third intel is in this little bunker where you get to take control of the UGV. Just look behind where Price is standing, just to the left of the crate that the UGV is in. And the fourth one, after you're done using the UGV, you have to run outside and avoid the fire from the drone up above, and on the top of the slide is the fourth intel. 2 intel on the level Turbulence. As soon as you walk down this first set of stairs, just keep going forward instead of turning around. And in this flight attendants area is the first intel. Second intel can be picked up after you crash. Sprint forward past all the wounded victims and other people dying on the ground. Jump over this log right here, and just to the right, after the secondary explosion, you can pick up the second intel of the level. There are 3 intel on the level back on the grid. The first intel, a little bit further into the level than most of the intel have been so far. After covering Price and Soap from that little sniper tower, just jump down, run straight forward, and then in this building at the end of the street, it's the first intel. This is the building that they ran into to try to find the HVT. It's from that same spot. Run forward, keep killing all the enemies. And in one of these shacks on the left of the street is the second intel. Third intel, further, a lot closer to the end of the level. You're going to fight your way through this little market and then run up into this church. And at the very front of the church, where the pastor would be standing, is the third intel for the level. Mind the Gap intel locations. There are 3 intel on this level, but this level is a little strange because if you press start in the first half, it'll tell you how many intel you've collected. And on the first half, before the tube ride, it's going to say 0 out of 2 intel collected, and then after the tube ride, even though it's the same level still, it's going to say 1 out of 2, or 0 out of 1 intel collected. So there are 3 intel even though it has different counts. First one, right from the beginning of the level, in that little cove on the left. Second one, before you open that truck, run up these stairs, and in this well-lit room at the top, above the truck, is the intel. Now, it's best to get that before you open the truck, because after you open it, there's going to be a whole bunch of enemies coming after you, and you're safe at that point. Third one, again, is after the tube ride, and when you're in one of the tube stations. Walk up that first escalator, go behind this little counter over here, and that is the third intel. There are 3 intel on this level goalposts. The first one is at the very beginning of the level. After you make your way up off the beach, as you're kind of following the tanks up to a little bit safer area, make your way all the way over here to the right, and in the nose of this crashed plane is the first intel. Right there. Second intel, after you've made your way to the top of the street, you've probably got a couple checkpoints since the last one. It's kind of a long fight. Now this is before you get in the tank, so if you've been given the prompt to climb into the tank, you've missed it, so don't do that. Over here in this far right corner by this yellow building is the second intel. And the third intel, a lot closer to the end of the level. Before you make the final breach into that last room, right in the base of this bank is the third intel. Return to sender. There are 3 intel on this level. First intel, pretty early on in the level. So from these docks, like right where you start, you see the little follow marker up there, straight ahead. Go into this blue building that's kind of a L shape, and on the second floor of this building will be the first intel. Second intel, after you've breached this door and captured the HVT and put on your gas mask and all that, you can find the second intel on the desk right behind him. And the final intel is during this section when you have the countdown timer going off, that you have more than enough time to get this intel on any difficulty really, so don't feel overwhelmed by the timer counting down. Follow this main street, and this little hut on the right will have the final intel for the level. There are 4 intel on this level bag and drag, so after you enter this bookstore early on, go up to the second floor. This one's kind of a little bit well hidden. And along this windowsill over to the right, in the second floor, in an area that you really don't have to explore at all, is the first intel. Second intel, not too further from that, not too much further from that. You go out into this main kind of courtyard area, and before you walk up those stairs and end up throwing the smoke grenades at the tank, you can find that second intel. Third intel, after you get flashbanged and you end up having to chase down the HVT, the intel is in this room where you got flashbanged. And the fourth and final intel is shortly after you climb this final ladder. Now before you run outside to get into the car, the intel will be on a crate before you go outside, like directly in front of you. So if you've turned outside, you've gone too far. There are 2 intel on the level Iron Lady. After you pick up the sniper and snipe out the MG, and then drop down and get a little checkpoint, go over here in this little glass house on the left and go up the stairs, and that is the first intel. Second intel towards the very end of the level. It's in this area where you have to use the RPGs and stuff to take out a bunch of tanks. In the back of the bus is the second intel. It can be kind of hard to get up there sometimes. You might have to jump up and down a bit. There are 2 intel on this level, Eye of the Storm. Fairly early on, after you've sniped out a couple people, you'll have to follow Soap into this little bar on the right. And this is the area where he says don't shoot the sniper on the roof. And it's immediately before the section where you have to crawl through the bar and avoid getting seen. The second one is after you ambush a large group of enemies and a whole bunch of people on the roof help you take them out. You can find the second intel on that little cafe. There is 1 intel on the level Blood Brothers. After setting Soap down, like after you carry him on your back for a little bit, then you set him down in the back right corner of this shop is the only intel for the level. There are 2 intel on this level, Stronghold. This first one is not too far after you blow up a small piece of wall and climb up into like a little control room and then fall down. Also, on your way to this one, you'll get flash banged on the way. That's kind of a little marker for that. So from that first intel, second intel, Price instructs you to kind of stay with him down in the lower area. Just ignore him. Run up here on this little catwalk up here on the right. And in this room right here is the second and final intel for the level. Scorched Earth. There are 5 intel on this level. So from the very beginning of the level, when you get dropped off on this roof, walk into this office right here, and right in this first cubicle is the first intel. Second intel is probably the most tricky to find intel in the game because you can't actually touch it the way that so many of the other ones you can. After you get out on the roof, just walk over here and the intel is behind that gate. And as you can see, that was the last one that I picked up to get the achievement. The third intel, after you zip line down this building, run forward, and in this bookshop, right on the desk, right by where the cash registers are, is the third intel. Fourth intel, not too far from there. Actually, exactly from I was right there. Run forward. You're going to go out onto this large street, and you're going to be assisting a couple German tanks across the street. And in this German bank, almost it looks like, in the back corner is the fourth intel for the level. And the final intel for the level, after you have fallen through the floor as you're riding in the tank. You can run through this little bar, and before you go up that final set of stairs, underneath the stairs is the last intel. There are 2 intel on this level down the rabbit hole. The first intel, pretty early on in the level. You come to this large cave, like just after jumping out of the elevator that kind of fell a couple stories. And in that room on the left is the first intel. Second intel, closer to the end of the level, you're going to set these charges on this floor right here and breach through. And then after you kill and all the hostage takers and rescue the president, just turn around, and in that back room is the second intel. There are 3 intel on this level, dust to dust. First one is while you're still in this large heavy armor suit. Actually, I think all 3 of them are. Oh no, the second 2 are after you lose the suit. Makes it a lot easier to move around. Walk up these escalators on the right, mowing down all the bad guys that you see. Turn around 180 degrees after you get to the top, and sitting on this bar is the first intel. Second intel, after you get out of the elevator, hug the left wall, and on this poker table is the second intel. Then not too far from that, you're going to walk around this whole area a little bit, killing all the enemies. And this is before the helicopter kind of takes out a part of the building. So if you get a mini cutscene where the helicopter kind of knocks you back, you've gone too far. That last intel is on the bar right there.